All right. Fights this weekend. Eternal MMA 97. Back-to-back weekends. Coming off a huge weekend. Eternal MMA 96. Of course, Darcy Vendy doing what he does and putting on quite the show. But Eternal MMA 97. Eternal hits a Perth and Perth's HBC, the High Performance Centre, for another interesting card. I do like back-to-back Eternal cards. It's always good. It's always got a bit of momentum. This main event will be the returning Abdallah Biada taking on Campbell Sims. Sims? Don't know much about Mr. Sims, so I'm assuming he's going to be quite mad at me. And in his world, will probably show me why I should know more about him as the event concludes. But I just want to go through some of the fights that I'm looking forward to. It's good to see Abdallah Biada coming back. Unfortunately, with a few knockout either losses or situations that really knocked back the hype. I don't think people are aware, but Abdallah Biada, even just a year ago, 18 months ago, was the number one pound for pound fighter in Australia, and was very much going to be sort of the next guy up. And he met a guy named Harry Webb, who was going through some troubles of his own. But Abdallah Biada stopped him as Abdallah tried to get the lightweight title, and and then took an unfortunate KO loss in Muay Thai. We couldn't get that super grudge match fight for the Hex Featherweight Championship against Justin Van Heerden. That fell to shit. Then when Abdallah came back, he looked great against Michael Barber, but unfortunately just a few more head knocks. And Michael Barber was the man that put him to sleep as he was standing stiff still. It's unfortunate. Abdallah Biada can still be the man, I believe, but he's got a young Campbell Sims in the way. He is, I think, 3-1. Don't know much about the man. I believe he is a BJJ black belt, if I am not mistaken, old Campbell. And he says himself that he's had, in the last year, something like 10 Muay Thai fights. So he thinks he's got a little bit everywhere. He's been easily the more active guy as well. Hasn't taken as much damage. This is definitely 100%, in my opinion, do or die for Abdallah Biada. If Abdallah Biada doesn't not just win this bout, but if he takes another KO loss, that's a career. I think, not that you'd ever tell anyone what to do, but if Abdallah Biada takes a KO loss, this very well could be it. So I think this is a very, very important fight for Abdallah to remind everyone just who he is and how special he once was and perhaps could still be. And I feel like this could be a real coming out party for Campbell, and it'll put him on the map. Win, loss, draw. If it's a great performance, it'll get him really into everyone talking and sort of saying who they want next. But I like this fight. So lightweight was going to be Abdallah Biada versus, lightweight 72 kilos. This was going to be between Raymark Quintana, which was going to be a great fight as well. I was really interested to see how Abdallah was going to do that. But yeah, Campbell Sims, Abdallah Biada, nice main event for Eternal MMA 97. But the fight I'm really looking forward to, Frank Jankowski, former Eternal MMA flyweight champion, who I actually think should potentially still be, and a man that pulled off the comeback of the century and is sort of right there. I feel like, I don't know if this was announced or what it is, but I feel like the winner surely is either next in line for a title shot after Anthony Drillich, because that man didn't even lose his belt. He went on to the Contender Series and had to give it up, and now he's back after unfortunately going down to Sean Gauci. But I feel like the winner of this Frank Jankowski, Joseph Lasanisi fight, he's definitely in line for a title shot. And Joseph Lasanisi's comeback of the year, his fight against Odin Muscat in the Goldie, that was stuff for legends. And Frank Jankowski comeback of his own against Colton Kilbasa, who just held him down for 4.5 rounds, and then Frank kneed him in the head. That was one of the sickest comebacks ever. So 2 comeback kids. Trying to get one up on each other. So look, that's definitely my hidden fight to watch, and that has huge title implications. We got returning Sam Hibbard versus Shane Parker, who even Eternal MMA made a real funny video about how they just keep calling Shane Parker and saying, "Hey man, your opponent's fallen out. Will you fight this guy?" And he's like, "Yep." And then they're like, "Nah, he fell out And we got someone else who's like, yep. And they're like, nah, he fell out. So Shane Park will fight absolutely anyone. He was scheduled to take on Anthony Drillich for the interim, I think it was, Eternal MMA Flyweight Championship, because Taniguchi, the champion who beat Jankowski, all of this makes sense, is injured, doing other stuff. I don't know. So, yeah, that was going to be an interim matchup. But, yeah, Shane Parker, Sam Hibbert, I believe, former Eternal MMA bantamweight title champion. This is a little while ago, but he's an absolute stud. Coming off 2 losses in 2021. Sean Etchell, Michael Barber. Before that, he's got a victory over Toby Meach. He's gone down to Michael Tobin, Diego Pereira. He's beaten Aaron Blackie, Raymart Quintana, which we mentioned earlier. He has beaten him. So if you don't know who Sam Hibbert is, you're about to. He's a very, very talented guy, trained out of Absolute MMA. So it's going to be a really, really nice fight as well. And Shane Parker, unfortunately, could have been getting a title opportunity. He then was getting like some international fight, I think it was, and now he gets a big fight against Sam Hibbert, which I think is going to be really, really cool. We've got Chris Ushinovsky out of Lions Den Academy taking on Kane Rickus. No, I think that's out. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at the old card. Kane Rickus, I believe, had to pull out medical reasons, unfortunately, for Ushinovsky. Like I said, the Eternal MMA weigh-ins are happening right now at the HBC in Perth. It is 4:53 p.m. on Friday, the 27th of June. So if something wild happens, I didn't see it. And then, of course, on the main card as well, they probably moved a fight up. I haven't talked to anyone about it. You guys really shouldn't pay too much attention to me on this one. I just want to bring up the fight card for you. We've got Jesse Swain, and he is taking on Ryan Dennis, who is an debutant. That's what I was looking for. So Jesse Swain, I believe, out of Australian top team. Good fighter. Talked to Suman Mokhtaran, who is the head coach of Australian top team, and he's a big fan of Jesse Swain and says he's one to remember. But interesting enough about this card, there's been some fights fall out. Obviously, there are going to be some absolute crackers. There's still some very good fights on that main card, especially for the UFC Fight Pass portion. But the prelims, man, I'm really liking the prelims. Now, you can see the prelims at eternalmma.com. You just chuck in your email and you can watch free fights, which is pretty cool. The ones to watch for me, look, you got Lawrence Whitesmith and Daryl Pale. That's welterweight. Lawrence Whitesmith trains out of Scrappy MMA, absolute stud. He used to be like the Eternal MMA towel boy. He'd wipe up the sweat and the blood, and now he's the one spilling it. And he's had, I think he went down to Dylan Lahari, and he's had some issues with medical issues, injuries, a couple losses here and there. But man, he's an absolute gun. They don't call him the man-child for no reason. You got Louis Christopherson. He's back in the cage, bit of a prodigy out of Wilkes Martial Arts, which of course home of the great Steve Erceg. Kai Bicknell is back taking on Arvan, which is going to be, I think that's going to be probably one of the most exciting matchups on the card as well. That's the catch weight, 73 kilos. Kai Bicknell getting very close to heading pro. So we'll see what he can do. And he's never in a boring fight. Ratcliffe Buckley's one to watch. My sort of go-to, if I had to tell anyone what fight to watch and why I think it's going to be super exciting, Alex Torres taking on Aiden Todorov. Aiden Todorov, the recent Ascension lightweight champion. Alex Torres just talks a gang of shit, and he's such a intense sort of individual. He's very, very talented on the ground. Aiden Todorov just has violence in his eyes. And Torres actually beat him in his pro debut, in Todorov's pro debut, and he's been very vocal on social media, and although Aiden doesn't say much back, he is feeling it in his heart, and it's filled with hate. So yeah, that's going to be a super violent fight. Todorov is definitely one to watch, and if anyone can stop him, it just might be Torres. Another one to watch, Ryan Lodo and Shannon Staples. Heard a lot about Ryan, that he is very, very talented as well, and the fact that he's taking Shannon Staples on in his debut, that means he's pretty talented. Jim Rolano, definitely one to watch. Lorenz Araneda, just good out of Westro Combat Academy, just one of them guys that just fights and until he gets better and gets the opportunity. Another one to watch out for, Rowan Breet. Is that a Wolves Den? He's out of Wolves Den. Not Scrappy. I don't know. But he's taking on Noah Staines, who recently was training. He actually got flown over to Sydney to train with Jono McAuliffe, Jimmy Crute, and Rob Whittaker to get Whittaker ready for his fight with RDR in Saudi Arabia for the UFC. So, what's he? A 3-on-1 amateur. So, that should kind of give you an indication. But yeah, guys, look, that wasn't exactly the most detailed bloody breakdown you'll ever get. I'm sure old Campbell will want to punch me in the head when he sees me. But look, Abdallah Biada, I feel like the story of this entire card is some very good prelims. Definitely check them out. All of these guys are going to be absolute gun pros. The UFC Fight Pass version of it come June 28th. Fights to watch. I think Frank Jankowski and Larsenese they'll fight for a title either next or a fight after. And Abdallah Biada, can he regain his former glory, or is this one of the last times we see him in the cage? Check it out, June 28th, UFC Fight Pass, Eternal MMA 97, Australian MMA _. Let me know what you think. Send all your death threats. You know the drill. And, of course, Australian MMA _ issue 1, Quill and Sourkild. Get it at shop.australianmma.com.au. And interestingly enough, if you're part of the Champions Club or whatever it is with Eternal, the best talent is not even going to be in the ring. It's going to be in a little room where people are shaking hands and taking photos. Quill and Sourkild will be there. I think Cody Haddon will be there. Steve Ursig will probably be there. I don't know, I'm sure names here. But Jack Della, the UFC welterweight champion, will 100% be there. So head on down to Eternal and maybe you can snag a photo and talk to the big man and see where he started his career. So maybe a future champion is on this card as well. Channel MMA 97. Check it out. Remember, like, subscribe, and all the other shit.